hell on earth would be to meet the man you could have been. That's the quote that rattles around in my brain each and every single day. Who could you be? Now, today I'm going to give you a 5-minute exercise that helps you answer that question. Who could you be? Helps you set a standard so you can show up better for your family, your friends, your business, and even yourself. So if you're anything like me, I'm alone quite a bit. And the reason I'm alone quite a bit, even though I have 3 kids, I'm married, I have business partners, colleagues, friends, I have all of those things like most people do. But at the end of the day, I am alone quite a bit because I wake up early. I train alone. And when I'm working, I'm in my home office and I'm home alone. And this has not always been the case for me when I was in the military. I was around other people quite a bit. I was around a lot of high achievers, and I really enjoyed that because when I'm around other people who want to get better, who want to really improve themselves, who want to try hard, it's a better environment overall. It pushes me, we push each other. You know, iron sharpens iron, that whole approach. I love that. I love having mentors and coaches who can also guide me down that path. But at the end of the day, you're going to be alone and it's just you, and you have to hold yourself to some sort of standard. And I help a lot of entrepreneurs walk through this process of how do we set a standard for ourselves that we can hold ourselves accountable to. And that's what I've been doing for the last several years is what is my standard? And it's very hard to set a standard for yourself if you've never done it before. So what we're going to do in this exercise, it takes about 5 minutes in all honesty, if you really put pen to paper and think it through, is what I call the Building Superman exercise. So you can take any area of your life. It really does not matter if you want to do this, for your role as a father or your role as a friend, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a business partner, as a husband, as a wife. It doesn't matter. You can do this for any role, and I highly recommend doing it for multiple roles. Maybe the ones that's the most important to you right now. But what I've found is we're really good at holding other people to a standard. Like if you hire an employee or if you were to hire a CEO in your place, you'd have a lot of standards. You'd have a lot of expectations for that person. You'd want them to do certain things. Bad employee, you would fire after a certain amount of time, right? So if you are a business owner, like, would you fire yourself? Would you keep letting you work in your business, or are you scattered? You don't really have a plan. You're not a leader. You really have to dive deep into the self-assessment to do the Building Superman exercise. So here's what you do. It's quite simple. If you were to die tomorrow and you get to pick a person to replace you, and it doesn't have to be an actual person like, oh, Joe over here would replace me or John would replace me. It's not like that. You get to build this person. It's a fictitious person. That's why it's called Building Superman. You get to build this person. What would they do? What's the standard? Now, they're only going to live up to the standards that you set. So if you wanted to do this for you as a business owner, say you're the CEO, you're the person in charge in your business, and you had to be replaced tomorrow, write down all the standards for that person. What would they do? How would they lead? How would they guide the team? How ambitious would they be? Would they be more on the operational side or more on the visionary side? What would you want for them? What time would they show up for work? When would they end work? Would they have a good work-life balance, or would they be only work? How would you want that person to show up? Who would you want to replace you? Now, that's the easy one. The harder one is if you're like me, you're a husband, you've got kids. If I had to pick or build the person to replace me as a father, what does that look like? How do I want them to love my kids? How do I want them to show up for my kids? What do I want from them? That's a much harder thing to work through. But if you can go through and do this exercise for 5 minutes, build Superman, build this person. What is the standard they have? How do they show up? What you're going to do when you go through this process is you're going to realize, wow, I have a lot of expectations of this person who would replace me in business, of this person who would replace me, as a father, as a husband. You would have these really big, audacious goals. And all you're really doing, because this is never going to come to fruition, you don't get to pick who replaces you if you are to be replaced, And you can only have the standard set so high before it becomes completely unachievable. So you'll land somewhere in the middle of having actual standards you can hold yourself to. So if you have your standards set out as a husband or a father of how they would show up, how much time they would spend with them, you're now just writing standards for what you should be doing. And once you write this down, this is your job description for yourself. As business owners, we're really good, like I said, at holding other people to a standard, writing the job description. Hey, you need to do this. You need to live up to this standard or you're gone. But we're not as good about doing that for ourselves. So I highly encourage you to go through this exercise in as many areas of your life as you can. Now, the goal is not to set all these standards and then be depressed because you're not perfect. You're never going to be perfect. But you should have a standard that you are trying to achieve. And here's the deal. If you feel like you have set standards that are unachievable, they just can't be done, maybe cut yourself some slack. Lower the standard if you have to. If you're actually shooting for perfection each and every single day in your role as a parent or business owner, you're shooting for perfection and you're missing and it's causing you stress, lower the standard. Now, I very rarely ever tell anyone to lower a standard, to try less hard. That's not what I'm here to say, because most people are doing the opposite. But I do know a lot of people, type A, high achievers, incredibly ambitious. They are secretly and unknowingly trying to achieve perfection. And their falling short of perfection causes them stress and anxiety. So I don't want that for you either. So this can be very eye-opening either way. It can either show you your shortcomings of like, man, I just need to do a couple more things and I'll be more of the father that I want to be, more of the husband I want to be, more of the business owner, entrepreneur that I want to be. If I just check some of these boxes, if I become a better leader, if I spend more time here, if I quit working at this point, I'll be a little bit further. I'll be closer to the standard I set for myself in these areas. Or on the flip side, it could be like, wow, I have unrealistic, unachievable standards. So what's the actual standard? What can I live up to? This would be a very eye-opening exercise for most people. And I highly recommend you do it. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes 5 minutes, probably 5 minutes per area. So you get out a sheet of paper, start the clock, write the role at the top of the paper, whether that's CEO of your business, father, husband, doesn't matter. And then you just start listing off all the standards, your expectations of this person, as many things as you can fit in a 5-minute running clock. When the timer stops, you have your description, your job description, you have your standards that you should start holding yourself to. And now you can start setting goals on a weekly, quarterly, monthly basis of how you want to improve and become a better human, better in these roles. It's not all about the next marketing strategy or tactic. It's really not. A lot of times it's just about you being who you need to be to get to the next level. And to do that, you need to try harder so you can live bigger.